Hello, guys. Gonna give it a minute. Top three for recovery. Today I've got my friend Jennifer. Hold on, let's find Jennifer. She's coming in, guys. Yo!
Hi.
Hi, how are ya?
Good.
What's going on?
Not much. How about
Long
you?
time no, long time no chat.
I-
How's it going?
Good.
How's the real estate market up there in San Clemente, Orange County?
It's pretty good.
Is
It's
it?
really good for sellers and buyers because rates are super low for buyers and sellers obviously we're at the top of the market. So
Nice, nice.
my
It's
screen,
a little dark. Oh, there you are. Yeah, it's a little dark on your end.
I don't know why.
I love the hat, by the way.
Thank you.
Super fresh.
Better? There we go.
There we go. Well, I want to get into it. You guys, thank you for joining Top 3 for Recovery with Recovery Rockstars. I got my friend Jennifer on today. Jennifer, hello.
Hi.
You've got a pretty incredible story, and I want to start here. How long have you been sober now?
5 years, 5 months.
That's huge.
Yes.
And tell me, what were you struggling with?
So my DOCs have always been, in the beginning it was alcohol, meth, and of course an eating disorder. And then later on in life, it just became alcohol and opiates.
Tell us about, you mentioned eating disorder. Tell us about the eating disorder.
So that started when I was 15, and that was, I'll say, my longest running addiction. Probably something that stayed very constant for me throughout my whole life, until 5 years ago. That was always something that, was comforting when you're not doing one thing or the other. So that one was hard for me.
Yeah. What was your addiction with eating? Were you struggling with bulimia or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
No
so how did that,
self-control.
what's that?
It's no self-control.
No self-control.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you had mentioned the opioids and alcohol and some other things. So how did that all play into each other?
So everything basically started when I was 15 years old. Every alcohol, eating disorder, weed, I really wasn't too fond of. Once I tried meth, it was game over for the next till I was 20. So 5 years.
Wow.
And then, yeah.
Wow. And how did you get clean from everything? How did you get sober?
So for me, getting sober was kind of a miracle moment for me. And I'd always, my whole life I could go out with friends. I was very young when I started using and partying all the time, drinking, Coke, everything else that was involved. And I always am like, I just have a very high tolerance. Like I almost bragged about it. Like I can do so many drugs, drink so much. And so for me, it was in the very end of my addiction, I was like 20 and I had snorted meth forever. I met my husband and I started smoking it with him. Something didn't fire right in my brain and I started kind of going into psychosis. And I would think, I called my car dealership one day. I'd gone into my car and I thought the air conditioning vents had been moved over an inch. So I called the dealership and I'm like, y'all took my car overnight and somebody's rewired and moved the vents. And they're like, ma'am, we did not do that.
That's crazy.
So I was still convinced, convinced that my neighbor next door had set up cameras and the government was spying on me because I'm just so fun to watch. And my landlord had to come and walk me through the apartments like nobody's there.
Wow.
So I had a friend who was struggling with heroin. She needed a place to stay. So, in that time, I was living on my own in an apartment with my husband. It was my apartment, and then I'd met him, and I couldn't pay the bills, so I got kicked out. I moved in with my grandparents, and my friend was struggling with heroin. She moved in, and she's like, I have to get off heroin. So she started slamming meth, and it was really scary. She had gone into psychosis now. And she was in my grandma's room on her bed saying that there was babies' heads under the bed and making weapons. And I was like, this is kind of crazy. So me and my grandma just had to kind of follow her around all day because this was going on all day. Then around 2 in the morning, I went to go use the restroom and I saw her in the hall, laying on her stomach, and she was going like this. And I was like, Jen, what are you doing? She's like, Heather's head fell off. I'm putting her makeup back on. And at that point, I mean, I get chills when I think about it because it scared me so much. I'm like, I do not want to end up like her. I'm not going to end up like that. And so my family, my uncle's a pastor. My grandma was always getting me to go to church. And I was like, I don't want nothing to do with God, you know? And that moment, I went in my room and I'm like, God, if you are real, please save me from this. And it was a miracle. The next day, me and my grandma had to take this girl to the hospital because she was still, it was like all night type of thing. And I was like, Grandma, something is different. I don't want to use drugs. The light, I don't know. I couldn't even explain it because I'd never experienced anything like that. All those years of like drinking and drugging, I never had an experience like this. So that went on for like 2 months. I stayed sober. My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, we would be in hotels. He would be getting high. And I was like, no way, I don't want nothing. You know, no. I was traumatized at what I saw. And so one night he was getting high. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just do it. I'll be fine. And I wasn't fine. And I didn't want to go home because I didn't want to disappoint my grandma. So me and my husband hop on a plane to Hawaii. He was transporting drugs back and forth. I was supposed to do that too. I had no idea the consequences of something like that. I didn't end up doing it. He did. We go to Hawaii. I had always thought Hawaii was like the Snoop Dogg video, like huts and like it was just beautiful, but we went straight into the drug community. And so I saw Hawaii in a whole different light. And so we were actually panhandling at gas stations for gas money. We were at our lowest, kind of living out of his car. And there was 2 separate occasions where one time a lady came up to me, I asked for a quarter. Like that's the times back then. She's like, you know what? I'd like to invite you to church. And I'm like, okay. Then another time, another gas station 2 days later, panhandling, the same thing, asking for change. Another lady says, I want to invite you to church. And I was like, I'm like, Christian, maybe we should be going to church. You know, deep down, I knew I didn't want to be doing drugs, but now I was just back in it, full-fledged with my high tolerance. I just went for it. And so we're in Hawaii, still getting high. He goes back to California. And then on his way back to Hawaii, he gets arrested. And then at that point, I was like, I'm really done with this life. I cannot. I mean, it's been a long 5 years.
Yeah.
And because I had had that experience being sober and I know, wow, this kind of feels good. And then that lady inviting, it was just too much stuff. So I'm like, Christian, you need to trust in God, get a Bible. And so that's kind of what got us through the 4.5 years he was in prison. And there was a lot of ups and downs during that time with lawyers ripping us off and stuff like that. And then a lawyer ended up killing herself. Like it was crazy, like craziness. But there was no, like using wasn't an option. It was just about we're in love. Let's love the Lord and, you know, get you out of prison. So he got out. Things were good. I was like, you know, I've been sober forever. Like I can drink now. Like I was so good. God, thank you for getting him out. And right away we got very active in church. Christian became a pastor. So my life was different. I'm like, you know, and I married him in prison as well. And I even smuggled in sushi for this guy too. But anyway, that's another story. So I thought, you know what, I've been so good. I've been, you know, sober all these years. I'm just gonna, you know, drink. And then I started drinking and, you know, Christian was new in the faith. So we would go places and it was okay that I drank. But as he started getting higher up in church, he was trying to help one of his friends, and this guy was a blackout drinker, and he said, you know what, your wife drinks. So at that point, I started hiding. My addictions. So that, I'm just rambling at this point.
No, you're good. Hey, this is your story. I love it.
Okay. So I'll just, you know, bullet point it some more. I started hiding my alcoholism, and it got worse because I do have a high tolerance. And so my thing was, you know, little vodka minis, and I even would take them to church at Christmas parties and go in the bathroom and drink. Like, and I thought no one could smell vodka because of a movie I saw, they said you can't smell vodka, but that's a lie.
Yeah.
And so this went on for a while. Then right before Christian had gotten out, one of my friends I had a headache, and she gave me a Vicodin or Norco. And I was like, oh, wow, this feels really good. I'd never done opiates before, so this was something new for me. And so I went to my doctor and got some. I had 30. I would take one a day. I had it timed out, and I noticed I started looking forward to that hour that I knew I was going to take it. Long story short, over like within a 7 years time, I am now opiate taking oxys, roxys, morphines. When I take Norcos, one is not enough. I have to take 9.
Wow.
So that really scared me. And one day I had just looked in my hand, and my husband's a public figure. We're very involved in our church. I was involved in children's ministry, and I had this little secret. Not only, it's pills, it's alcohol. I'd put my kids to bed. I'd have those 4 minis. That would be fine. I'd wake up, do the same thing over. I had my pills. And with the opiates, it was a gradual thing. So I was able to, it was over 7 years time where I just went skyrocketed. And so it obviously, a chain of events started happening, and I got to that point when I looked at those, I'm like, I need to quit. And I tried not taking all the pills. I lasted like 4 hours. Anyone who takes opiates knows like the excruciating pain. And I was too afraid to go to anyone at my church because we're in church. I'm not going to, hey, I'm addicted to opiates. And so I don't know what had happened, but Christian had ended up going through my drawers, and I don't know why I never threw away all the little vodka minis. I don't know why I never threw away pill bottles, but this was a surprise to him. And I had been praying to Lord save me, but I ended up going to treatment. I agreed because it was like, hey, you're going to lose your kids if you don't. You can't live, all the ultimatums. And I took those seriously because I was at the end of my rope again, and I didn't know how. I didn't even know, like, I just have my toes, I can't help it. So I ended up going to treatment, and it was a 3-month treatment during the holidays. And if you're a mom, like going during Thanksgiving, Christmas, like that was rough. My detox was rough. It was 10 days. It was gnarly. And so when I stepped foot into that treatment center, I was like, excuse me, but there's padlocks everywhere. Like, I'm a mom. I don't need locks on everything. Like, this is ridiculous. And I just thought of it like, this is a joke. I'm in here with young girls. Like, I'm 35 years old. And I'm like, this is just not going to work for me. And so the first month, I thought I would get out on good behavior. I'll just say what they want me to say, do what they want to do. I'm fine. I can just ask Jesus for forgiveness. I'm good. And so I had called one of my friends. I asked her to come pick me up, and she was like, no. And I'm like, I can't believe you. You always said that you would. If anything happened, you'd come get me from anywhere. Like, why? So she had said no, and I'm like, well, I have no choice now. I'm not getting out of here because I don't want to risk losing my family. And so I stayed, and then a week after that, I really dove into the program, and I had an epiphany. I'm like, oh, I don't have a high tolerance. I'm an addict. Like, all these years, it finally just hit me like full blown. And so that was like a moment where I was like, oh, I saw the light. Like, okay, now I know what to do with myself. Now that explains everything that I've gone through my whole life, through childhood on, and why I react the way I do to certain things. So that was pretty amazing for me. And I enjoy being in there, and I'm actually friends with a lot of those girls still. And we're actually doing a journal drive, and I'm going to give journals to that place because, my life changed. And that was a place for eating disorder and addiction. So it was perfect.
Wow. So you've seen it all, you've experienced it all, and now you're 5.5 years sober.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely amazing. So it's kind of a perfect segue. Why don't you give us your top 3 tools or tips to stay sober?
So number one, it's community and accountability. That's one. Obviously, you got to find your tribe, find your community, and people that you can be accountable with, because when you don't have that, it's very easy to slip back in. Or for me, I can hide things. Yeah. Number 2 is stand in your truth and play the tape through. Like, I'm not going to lie, it wasn't easy my first year for me. And there were plenty of times I thought, you know what, I just needed, what am I doing? But I was taught, play the tape through. And so every time I have that thought, it's like, play the tape through. Okay, so you're going to go score, then what? You're going to do this, and then what? Or it's not worth it for one pill or one drink, because naturally that's not fun for me. If I'm going to go, I'm going to go all the way, and I need thousands of dollars because I'm going to live in a hotel and I'm just going to be high and on opiates forever. So it's just playing through, like, oh, I have to go do that. People are going to know I'm going to be stuck in that lie. That has helped me so much.
I love that.
It's a game changer. And then for me, I think what's important is health and fitness. Taking care of yourself, knowing when to listen to your body, being healthy. Obviously, working out, it releases things in your brain that kind of help you. So that was what really helped me a lot as well.
Yeah, I'd say faith.
It was a little rough for me.
Yeah, I'd say faith too, right?
Oh, for sure. That goes out saying. I mean, I feel like 3 is not enough. Like, you know, I'm trying to find a job. There's so many things, you know, but those are my top 3. I guess you're right. That's why it's called top 3.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you sharing your story and in the words of insight and words of wisdom. We really appreciate it. How can people find you on Instagram if they want to connect with you?
Jennifer Hosoi. I think I have about 3 underscores. Realtor. And you can message me any questions. Like, you know, I love that. This is like my passion now. Like, you know, recovery obviously as it is yours, you know?
Yeah, I love it. And then you also have, I want to plug this real quick. You have a YouTube channel that you guys, I know you're making some fine tuning and tweaking, but you're going to start a YouTube channel to actually share some of these experiences and stories too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. This is actually like the first time I've kind of put my story out there. So I'm pretty excited.
Well, I'm honored that.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to be watching.
Well, Jennifer, I want to say again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on and sharing your story and being a part of this.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. You guys go follow her. Stay tuned for a YouTube channel and God bless. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, Jennifer.
Bye. How do I hang it up?